Merchandising, where the real money from the podcast is made. Thrive Loud the t-shirt, Thrive Loud the coloring book, Thrive Loud the lunchbox, Thrive Loud the breakfast cereal, Thrive Loud the flamethrower. The kids love this one.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the only speaker in the world teaching leadership in a performance of uncanny musical and comedy impressions, utilizing the legends of the stage. His signature keynote, The Promise, provides proven processes and immediately implementable takeaways to transform your business and leadership skills. Thrive Loud listeners, we are going to have so much fun today as I bring you Jason Hewlett. Jason, how are you today, my friend?
Lou, my brother, it's good to be here. You are thriving in this podcast world. Incredible work.
Well, you know, we try to do some great stuff, but it's only because of people like yourself who we get on this program, which I was really excited to do. I saw you recently in Las Vegas at NSA's Influence Conference. We said, how have I not had you on? And I basically said, you got to come on right now. Let's do it. You have a great story. You've got a great way of communicating. Some of our listeners, believe it or not, don't know who you are. So we have to kind of bring them up to speed. So I kind of want to hit the rewind button just a little bit. Jason, how did this become your gig?
Yeah, so I started my career as a performer in Las Vegas. I was an impersonator for the Legends in Concert. And most people that will either see me or are watching right now will be shocked to learn that 20 years ago, I was a Ricky Martin impersonator. Living la vida loca. And I danced and I put on the leather outfit and everyone was screaming my name. And well, Ricky, go Ricky. Because Legends in Concert is you have to look, sound, act, dance. Everything is authentically just like that person. And so I was really good at pulling that off. And eventually I became good enough to be able to figure out another character, which I then transformed into Elton John. So I then figured out the piano parts and I put on the earrings and the glasses. And actually I would come on the stage as Elton John first. A few acts later, I'd come back as Ricky Martin. Nobody knew it was the same guy. It's too much of a transformation for people. And it really was a rare thing for someone to get to do these two characters. So that's how my career started, was actually leaning into and learning the signature moves of legends of stage and seeing what it is that makes them unique, that people really love about them. And that's how my career started. And in the framework of where my career has gone, hopefully that helps you and any listeners say, oh, I understand where he's going with this. And that's how my career started, as an impersonator in Vegas, now teaching, find your own voice, discover your signature moves, and keep your promise.
So I love this, Jason. And I'm going to have to go back a little further because I guess, have you always been talented? Has that been something that at a young age where you needed to be on a stage?
Not to need to be on a stage, but I was just good at impersonating the teacher in the classroom or the voices that I heard, the things on Disney whenever I watched and it was like, oh, Mickey Mouse. And I would listen. And then I'm like, oh boy. Hi, everybody. Mickey Mouse here. All right. And I thought, oh, I can do that. And then Donald Duck and, so all these voices as a kid became this thing that made me actually interesting to people. And when I saw that it got a laugh, that was very important to me. And so I worked really hard at that. It wasn't until about mid high school years that I had a teacher discover that I was a great singer and had a great voice while singing in the hallway, that she heard me, pulled me into the classroom and said, your voice is going to be heard around the world and I'm going to teach you. And so she discovered that in me. Because I now talk about that on stage, that managers are leaders and everyone is a mentor, and who are we mentoring, and really clarifying the talents of others, because we usually don't see it in ourselves, but other people saw it in me and helped me get there.
Who told Jason Hewlett that this unique ability to imitate, perform, and deliver carries over in helping other people basically try to find their little superpowers and the voice inside of them. Was there a guide? Was there a mentor that someone said that helped guide you in that direction? Because let's make it clear, being Ricky Martin on stage and then eventually becoming what you're doing now and helping leaders across the entire globe transform is a big move. So who helped bridge that gap?
Truly, this was not something that people thought was possible, to be honest. And especially speakers that were already in the speaking industry, and especially entertainers in the entertainment industry. They both said, stay in your lane. So speakers were saying, you can't speak on that because it doesn't make sense. And entertainers were saying, you're so good at this, don't leave it. But what happened is when I would do my show, because I created a show not just of Ricky Martin and Elton John doing the costume and so forth, I eventually came up with a show of 100 impersonations that I could do really fast right in a row. So I'd go from Living La Vida Loca to Elton John, and you can tell everybody this is your song. And then I'd go into Louis Armstrong, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Then I'm in the Bee Gees. Well, you can tell by the way I sing this song, I'm singing high, but not for long. Ha, 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 ha. And nobody thought that could be actually a leadership speech. However, it was a client that came up to me after I did a holiday party where I was the entertainment, and they said, did you know that you're teaching leadership within that message? And I was like, yeah, I kind of always have thought it would be where I'd like to go. And they said, we'd like to hire you to come and do that for us. So my first messaging was really discover your talents, your gifts, and your strengths. Eventually it transformed into signature moves, and now it is the promise. But yeah, it actually was no one in our industry. It was the people in the audience who pointed it out. And it's been multiple people like that that have helped me along the way.
In the way that you deliver these messages and business leadership pieces, help share with our listeners some of the key things or tips, which I know is like a little bit of a peek into the promise, that are helpful for them so that they can actually put that to use. Just some quick things that are kind of injections of your program.
Well, what I talk about is that we all need to make promises, not just all the promises, but the right promises. You know, think about the promises you make to your customer. I call it your audience because on stage, we're all performers, but in reality, every business person is performing. We're based upon performance, etc. So I say, hey, who's your audience? And what kind of promises are you making or breaking to them? And then we talk about the family at work, the family at home, the promises to self. Think of all these promises, and there's a trickle-down effect. Usually we keep the promise to the customer first, our work, our boss, our career. We do all we have to do, even sacrificing our health and our wellness and our happiness and our even sometimes our relationships, times with family, in order to keep the promise to the boss or the career. And so in that sense, I'm just helping people reframe the idea of, you know, what are the true promises that they're making? And can we, instead of just saying, I'm going to set a goal, how about why set a goal and we can make a promise? You know, because if you set a goal and you miss it, you just set another goal. But if you make a promise and break it, then you have a problem. So what are the true commitments you're going to live up to? And that's where this whole thing unfolds. And as far as your listeners are concerned, I would say, when we start to think about the promises that we make to those people that we serve, are we really following through? Yeah. Are they receiving what they're being advertised? I call it the commercial versus the reality. We never want to promote more than we're going to be delivering, but equally, we don't want to under-promise in order to over-deliver. We want to deliver on the right promises, and then they will sell your business for you. That is a great performer and a great customer experience, and great leadership means it sells itself.
Love it. Jason, one of the hardest things to do when you're as talented as you are, and you're also imitating lots of people, is that as time goes on, there's more people to imitate. As you're adding voices, content to your routine for your presentation, to your show, are you always thinking about how to incorporate the next and the best when a lot of people always want that signature move, that favorite performance that you always deliver?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's called it's your signature hits. Like you're a New York guy. So when I went to see Billy Joel for the first time, I was so excited. He played like 38 of his 39 top 40 hits, he rocks 3 hours. He's like Springsteen. He just goes forever. And then he left the stage without playing The Piano Man. And I'm like, what just happened? He didn't play his signature song, even though he played 38 of the top 39. If you don't play the main hit, you have a problem, right? Broken promise to the audience. He was funny. We all were shouting encore until he came back on stage, kept the promise, played The Piano Man. Sing us a song of The Piano Man. Sing us a song tonight. And we're like, yeah, we love Billy Joel. Truth is, yes, I'm constantly trying to learn new artists and new ideas as to what to implement. In fact, yesterday I was listening to The Weeknd and Bruno Mars, and I'm like, how can I implement this? Because what's fascinating to me about The Weeknd and Bruno Mars is they are literally so good, so talented, so unique, and yet they are riffing off of the greats, Michael Jackson, James Brown.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of Motown flair in there. And so when you think about it, we're all just building upon what's already come before us. And so what's funny, Lou, is that I've found that a lot of people don't want to hear the new stuff. They, in my audiences in general, would rather hear the classic legends, the voices that span the generations, because maybe they don't know The Weeknd. Yeah. I mean, there might be like 20% that's like, yeah, I love The Weeknd. And all the rest of the audience is like, oh, dude, Journey, or I want to hear Guns N' Roses. And I'm like, wah, 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 sweet child of mine. And they're like, yeah, that's my jam. And then I say, well, imagine if Guns N' Roses didn't sing Sweet Child of Mine. They'd be breaking a promise. What's your signature move in your business? What's your promise to your customer they expect every time? So does that answer the question about the signature hits?
Yeah. No, it nails it. And it's also a key point for leadership too, which is, like keeping to your strengths and knowing the thing that everybody's brought you to the table to do and deliver. And that's such a key message that mirrors well. And speaking of mirroring well, how has the work of Jason Hewlett, which is amazing on stage and live in person, over this last year and a half, how is it mirrored as you did some of this stuff remotely and virtually in your life? As we look behind you at a really cool virtual setup in
this is my office and my house, and so this was like the craziest nightmare of all time, because I've been making a living for 20 years on stages in front of a lot of people, and to be frank, a small audience for me has become 500 people. Right. I'm averaging thousands in each audience. And so when that's all you do for a living, I don't have any other income. And I had a pretty good calendar March 2020, and then all of a sudden it's like canceled, postponed, need our money back, da, 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 da. Well, now income is gone. And as a good dad would do, I sat down with my children. We have 4, 3 of them are teens, and the other one is not yet there. He's so excited to become one someday. And I sat down and I said, guys, this is the reality. All my work is gone. What are we as a family going to do to make this work? And it meant to switch to virtual. Yeah. And so we transformed the house into a virtual studio. And if you go to YouTube and look up my promo video from last year, I mean, it's hilarious. I put my family all throughout it to show that they were holding boom mics and lighting and the scripting and taking photos. It's a real deal. We came together as a family, and that was so neat for them to see that daddy is hustling and not sitting around thinking it's going to come back and just be normal. I just said, I got to do this fast. We did it fast, Lou. And we switched. We got cameras and lights and sound and failed over and over. I'm telling you, I can't believe the bombs that went off as I was ruining every Zoom call and WebEx and GoToMeeting, and realizing, man, this is so hard to perform, sing, do a piano, and teach leadership. I mean, how does this work? What was really great about it, I did about 50 gigs for free in the first 2 months. I just did every single thing I could find to test enough, to fail enough, to succeed eventually. I was just pushing the limits of my computer and of my own energy. And eventually I realized something, Lou. As much as the entertainment has worked on stage, it works okay in virtual. Right. But my message was refined in the virtual realm. And I had to really figure that out. But we still keep those pieces of entertainment that keep them interested, not going away to their Facebook or something. And man, I was able to salvage a pretty good chunk of the income, made a new opportunity for myself. My family saw this happen, and hopefully it fosters in them a belief that they can thrive in the future as well.
I love it. I was going to ask you, as we just met in an in-person event, and the feeling of being able to connect and see others, how much are you looking forward to doing more, being in front of live audiences, feeding off the energy that you deliver each time you speak?
Yeah, so I live in a part of the country where I've been doing live events ever since last year, late in the year. And so it's been interesting. I've done over 20 events since things kind of got back to a little bit of normalcy. And I have loved it. But I also really love the virtual. What's funny about the virtual is I finally did one in May where I was like, May 2021. I was like, when I was done, I think it was about my 100th event of virtual. And I went, I did it. I have conquered virtual. I have mastered. And I looked at the calendar and I had none left. And they're all in person now. And I'm like, no, because I really enjoyed the virtual. It's such a great challenge. And there's one, the difference is this, as a performer, and you know this, as a speaker, as a performer, you're getting claps, nods, and laughter. On virtual, you don't get that. But if the chat is open, you can read their minds. Oh my gosh. That's the coolest thing. And then I can engage with them. I'd be like, oh, Lou, that song reminded you of your dad? Oh man, I love that. Tell me more about your dad. Was he a mentor to you? And man, the connection with these people on virtual is like another world. I really like it.
Spectacular. I love asking this question of all the guests, Jason, and I am so interested to hear where this goes. Look, you have managed to been thriving for 20 years on stage. You've mastered virtual. You have a talent and skill that energizes people and connects with them, which means on most days you're thriving. But like many of us, we all have days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and we're not on our A game and we're not performing as well as we could. Jason, when you were having trouble thriving, who or what practice do you seek to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Great question. I just go serve people and I acknowledge them. I look for ways to pick them up, lift them up, and highlight them. I also love to get outside. That for me is a huge thing. I live near the mountain, so I go to the mountain. I also open my journal and I start writing and writing until I find gratitude. So I'll write through the sadness, depression, anxiety, whatever is happening to me in the moment. And eventually we're able to get out of it into the gratitude and say, man, life is good. I can keep thriving.
Love it. Let's do the admin part of the show before we get down to Fun Street. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, links, social media, whatever the heck you want. We will put it in the show notes, including the link to your very cool book. But it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Oh man, thank you. I mean, the book is really where we'd love everybody to check out. It's on Amazon. It's called The Promise to the One. And it's a really great book. And in fact, it debuted at #1 on Amazon in the self-help, so that was exciting. And here's the thing. JasonHewlett.com. That's the best place. And that leads you to the Promise Institute, which we founded during the pandemic. And that was with 3 other co-founders, and we're all equal owners. And we're now bringing trainings and doing expeditions to Kenya and humanitarian trips and lots of online courses and so forth. So there's a lot going on. But I'm really engaged on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. YouTube. Hey, my YouTube channel is pretty fun. I don't have enough people watching. I haven't pushed it enough. I have a lot of videos there though, so it'd be fun to maybe have some people see us there.
I think we're going to have a montage of this episode that's going to probably be phenomenal that we'll make sure we'll get on there. Don't you worry.
Yeah, we'll just do this. We'll say, hey, sign in. Hey.
When the heck did you learn that you could do that? That was like at 4, right? You were like 5 years old?
I was 5 years old. 5 years old, found out I could move my face and control my muscles in my face. And what's interesting about that for an audience is anywhere in the world, people connect with something weird with your face, but also it teaches the principle of discovering that which makes you unique. And I take people through the process of identify, clarify, magnify, which is the ICM process of identify that which makes you unique, clarify that influences others. In other words, makes them laugh, and then magnify the talent and share it wherever you go. So that's part of the promise.
Love it. Ready to go down Fun Street, Jason?
Yeah, man, let's go.
All right, share with the listeners, by the way, what you shared with me. You were like a multiple choice question on movies you love to rewatch or your favorite movies. Share with the listeners what that is, what they are.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm a movie buff, but I'll tell you, I go back to About Time and the movie Big Fish. And what I love about these movies is Big Fish is the reconciliation of a son with his father. Yeah. And that's obviously, I think, 70% of Hollywood's themes, if you think about it. So true. And so I love that movie because the storytelling and so forth, with the dad telling the Big Fish stories. Obviously, I tell Big Fish stories. My dad did, and I'm sure my kids will. I just love that movie. It always inspires me. I don't know. Have you seen About Time? About Time is so good. Yeah. And this family has the superpower to be able to, the men in the family can go back and relive and retry. I just love the power of it because by the end you realize all I have to do is be present with my family, with my work, with my life. Be present is the message of that movie. It's beautiful.
Love it. We're going to do the speed round here, and I know you can handle this. You know, you've got some gifts.
All right, I got it. Here
he goes. He's getting his warm up. All right. So the way that this works, I'm going to ask you something. I want the first thing that comes to your mind. Yeah. Most of these things are things that lift you up and make you feel good, motivate you, make you thrive. Ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay. A song of late that's kind of like your jam or pumps you up.
I see them standing in a crowded room. I don't even know how. I don't know why I run away. Bam, 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 bam. The Weeknd. I don't know. I just listened to it.
I'm just so glad that I got The Weeknd on the show today. I was really proud about this.
Save your tears for another day.
Amazing. Yeah, by the way, real high pitch to get to. That's really good.
It is.
An activity. Oh, let's go back to that. Favorite food that's not a dessert.
Ooh, raspberries.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Favorite dessert?
Oh, I would just say warm bread.
It's kind of a flip-flop.
I actually don't even eat sugar anymore. So.
Warm bread is a delicious dessert for many of you out there looking to get it. An activity you wish you did more of?
Hiking in the mountains. I wish I could go every day.
An activity you wish you did less of?
My own administrative work.
If I could snap my fingers and you can go anywhere in the world, where are you?
In my house.
I like that.
Is that okay?
Out of all, it's your answers. There's no wrong answers.
I just love being home, man. I love the pandemic, honestly. I just like being home.
And where is home for those? Where are you? Where are you based?
I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. But I lived on an airplane. I mean, I was averaging 200 dates a year for most of my career. So
I heard Delta is knighting you. They're knighting you.
Yeah, Delta's like, you can fly it if you want. You can,
out of all of the imitations that you do, I've got two questions. One, which is your favorite one to do? And two, for you, which one is the most challenging?
Favorite would have to be the Raptor. I mean, I became known in the National Speakers Association for this piece because I do my hands and then I do my face and then I share that from the stage to show that I could be a present father and go for it. And it makes everyone laugh every single time. It kills. And so that's my favorite one to do. The most challenging one was Elton John, for sure, no question, because I had to try to personify one of the greatest singer-songwriters of all time. And I actually am like 6'2", and he's like 5 whatever. And so I was too big, and there was just so much going on. So to pull that off, and he's not just a normal English accent. It's not like he was singing like, what is it? Can you feel the love tonight? That would be like a British person, but he has a country twang. And I had to learn that through reading all about his history until someone wrote a review that said English voice with a country flair. And then I was like, oh my gosh, can you feel the love tonight? and that's when it all changed. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the voice. It was so hard to get there though.
Jason Hewlett, truly a pleasure, man. An honor to have you on Thrive Loud here. Keep doing what you're doing. Have fun. Enjoy the stuff you're doing at home because you own virtual now. You've done it. You've mastered it. But we'll also love to see you on the stage and bring up the energy. Thanks for coming on Thrive Loud, my brother.
Lou, you're the best, bro. Congrats on all your success. Keep thriving.
You got it, my friend. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.